Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for getting involved in an adult discussion about money and refusing to share? My mom died when I was 6. I'm 16 now. Dad married Linda after mom died. Linda has a son who's 15 and a daughter who's 13. Dad and Linda were saving college funds for me and Linda's kids through the years. My parents had already set one up, so there were some savings in it pre-marriage to Linda. About a year ago my dad and Linda started talking about the financial element of those accounts and how much it would really help in terms of college. They are not rich and were disappointed the accounts weren't bigger. It was also brought up that I had more because mine was started earlier than her kids' accounts. To give more context, mine was started when I was born and Linda only started one for her kids before she married my dad. My mom came from a big family. She was one of 7 children and my grandparents had done good for themselves. They weren't rich lol, but they had a home that was mortgage free and they both continue to hold jobs. Because I lost my mom, they decided to downsize their home and set up an account for me that would help me through life. My aunts and uncles even contributed small amounts. They all have kids so couldn't do as much, but it's more than any of my cousins have. And it's more than Linda's kids. Learning about the account made my dad and Linda unhappy. Linda asked that they allow her and my dad access so they could do what they felt was right. My grandparents said no. Dad asked them why they had done what they had and why wasn't it discussed with him. They told him it would be given to me when I turn 18 and not a moment sooner, and that they wanted the money to be for me, to do whatever I liked with it, and that as my mom's parents they did what they felt my mom would want. The whole thing was such a big deal to my dad and Linda that I told them to take back the money they saved for me, but leave what was there before they got married. Dad asked if I would share some of the money from my grandparents with Linda's kids. I said no. I also told him that money saved by him and mom should still be mine because my mom was not saving for kids he would raise with someone else. Linda and my dad believe I'm too involved and too opinionated, and I'm selfish for not being more giving with Linda's kids. Dad told me he's disappointed and it's an adult matter that I should stay out of. I think seeing as I was asked to share, I have a right to give input. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA. It was generous of you to offer the money your dad and Linda had put aside for you. Please don't offer any more. It's yours. Yes. Do not give in. Not the a-hole your dad and Linda are greedy. Like really greedy, and it is actually not okay. It's sick how badly they want the money. Do they not care about you? NTA. Your grandparents said no, and until you are 18 nothing else matters. Dad and Linda are being selfish to pressure you into sharing money. If they were that concerned about you being involved in the adult conversation about it, they should have been adults and shut it down without ever asking for you to share. Also talk with your grandparents about this without Dad and Linda. There might be a way this can work so that the pressure doesn't just come back on again the minute you're 18. Release some of the funds for college/university when you turn 18 and the rest is released to you at 25. Or some of it stays as a trust with your grandparents administering it. It sounds like your grandparents have done a good job protecting you and your interests. This kind of scenario with your stepmother is exactly why they didn't talk to your dad about it sooner. NTA. Am I the antagonist for telling a family to fly private? I was recently flying from New York City to Lax for a work trip, and I had the displeasure of sitting next to a family and a little boy, 9. I got on the plane in the midst of issues with my diabetes and I needed to eat within 2 hours, so I began snacking. I immediately began receiving dirty looks from the parents and the mother said, "Can you not do that, our son?" So I put my food away and figured it'd wait until the flight attendant came around so I could buy food from her and eat at an acceptable time, just to show some respect for their wishes. So the flight attendant comes by with her beverages and snacks. I start to ask for a Coke and a snack box, but before I can finish the sentence the father says, "Nothing for this bro. We're all set here," and she continues on. I go up to press the call light so I can get my food and my drink because I actually need it, and the father says our son has prayed a willy. We'd prefer it if you didn't eat because it causes tantrums when he doesn't know he can't eat and has always hungry. I'm close to a tantrum myself at this point, and so I look him in the eye and say I do not care. Fly private if you want to control your surroundings. The flight attendant comes back and I get my food and my drink. I snarf it down and chug my soda, and I sit back. As soon as I'm calmed and am able to open my laptop and get back to work, the mother leans in and says I feel a calling to educate you about my son's disease, and I felt my entire body clench up. She keeps talking to me and explaining how it made her son feel, and I said listen lady, I don't fucking care. I'm going to handle my T1D the way I see fit, and you're going to handle your son the way you see fit. I'm not endangering myself because you don't want to deal with a tantrum. If you want to control other people, then you book all the seats in a row or you fucking fly private. I recounted the story to a friend of mine once had gotten off the plane, and she immediately told me that I was a huge R and I should given them a little bit of grace due to their son's condition. I kind of feel bad, but at the same time, I think that it's unavoidable if you're going into public and you're around others. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA. You are 100% correct. If they wanted to control their surrounds, they should have booked the whole row and or flown privately. To expect you to not eat, regardless of your health, was ridiculous. It was rude for the dad to speak on your behalf. Whoop, I'd have interrupted him, not waited to call the flight attendant back. NTA. Do they expect people to stop eating as they walk past a restaurant? Picnics to stop in the park? They can't continually control his surroundings. Plus the problem isn't people eating near him. It's him not understanding what's going on. The parents need to explain to him what's going on, not explain medical things to strangers. If they want to completely control their surroundings, then yeah, they can fly private or maybe a nighttime flight so they can sleep instead. Can you imagine them in a movie theater? Okay, everyone has to put away their popcorn and other snacks now. We have arrived. Am I the antagonist for outing a coworker who got laid off from his job? An old coworker of mine got laid off from his job about a month ago. I saw him and his wife in the grocery store and I gave him some information on a place that was hiring our old employees. Tech. I know several people who almost instantly got hired and are making almost the same pay. I told Mike to contact another former employee and he could hook you up. Mike's wife was livid that she didn't tell him about his layoff. I didn't know that. I just thought it would be nice to pass along the information to Mike. It never once crossed my mind that Mike wouldn't tell his wife that he was laid off of his job over a month ago. He told her he went remote. I get an angry email from Mike saying how could I embarrass him in front of his wife like that, and he has been looking for a job. He didn't tell her about the layoffs because she has bad anxieties about money and now she's freaking out on him and I might have destroyed his marriage. I was just trying to pass along that several of my former colleagues have already found placement at another job and tried to help him out. I gave him their number so he could text them and try to set up something. I never imagine in a million years that he won't tell his wife about him getting laid off. I feel bad now and am wondering if I shouldn't have said something to start. Now for the top comments. NTA. How could you possibly have known? And honestly, what was Mike's endgame? Wait until the money ran out and the lights turned off before telling his wife he had no job? I agree. Like, how could he hide something so important from his wife, not the a-hole? He was going to collect unemployment until he found a new job and not bother her with the details because he knew it would cause her anxiety. I feel bad for that part. NTA, you did nothing wrong and nothing to damage their marriage. All that was on Mike. Whatever his reasons, him lying to his wife about his employment was his fault. How dare you try to help somebody out of the goodness of your heart, not the a-hole. Am I the antagonist for not explaining to a stranger what I was doing in a school parking lot? This is kind of stupid, but I was curious what people think. I'm 16F and I recently got my driver's license, so my mom has been letting me drive her to from work. She's a teacher at an elementary school. So when I get out of my school for the day I drive over there to pick her up. There's a specific part of the parking lot where you can wait if you're picking someone up. So I was sitting in that part of the parking lot listening to music in the car. A woman came up and said, "You know this spot is only for pickups and drop-offs, don't you? You're not allowed to just sit here." I do know that. There's a 15-minute time limit, but I hadn't been sitting there that long. So I just said, "I know. I'm picking someone up." She didn't believe me and she said sarcastically, "Oh really? You have a child that attends this school?" I was annoyed, so instead of explaining that my mom works there, I just said, "Yep, I sure do." She made a face at me and walked away. 2 minutes later this woman comes back with Erica, the lady who works in the front office in the elementary school, and I can hear her telling Erica, obviously she's not old enough to have a child at this school, so she's lying about her reason for being here. Erica saw that it was me in the car and asked, "Are you here to pick up your mom?" I said, "Yes." Erica said, "Okay, I'll let her know you're here so that everyone can get on their way." She kind of gave the woman a nasty look when she said it, so then the woman gave me a nasty look. She and Erica both went back into the school together. When my mom came outside after, she asked, "What's going on?" Erica said, "You upset some woman out here." I told my mom what happened, and she sighed and said, "I don't know why you had to make a scene. You cold just told her why you were here." I obviously cold done this, but I was annoyed that she was hassling me. So am I the antagonist for not just explaining? Edit, because a few people have asked. No, this woman does not work at the school. I think she's a parent who was probably there for an after school activity. Now for the top comments. NTA, you don't owe random people explanations. And that lady cold just left it at that. She was the one who chose to escalate the issue. And she's the only person responsible for making herself look foolish. This is the only reasonable response on this thread, TBH. Nobody owes strangers an explanation. NTA. Tons of families have au pairs and other babysitters ranging from teens to their 20s who pick up kids from school. So there are many legitimate reasons for a teen to be waiting in the pickup area. Also sometimes people have a big age gap in their kids, so a student might have a big sister old enough to drive, or a cousin or other family member. And some people just look young, so you could also be a parent. I think the lady should have minded their own business, but still best to be nice, because it's your mom's place of work after all. You are right. When I was 22, a senior, on a bus in Cambridge MA, I was mistaken for a pre-frosh by 2 freshmen. I was routinely carded until I was 27, drinking age 21, and got pregnant, and therefore not drinking. My own 4 kids have an 8-year spread. So I did have a 3rd grader who could get picked up by a sibling. I didn't think of that, as the way our schedules worked, it didn't happen, but the ages absolutely could have. NTA, unless the woman's job was to police the parking lot and ask those questions, then she was just being nosy. If it was her job, then you were tar and should have told her why you were there. It all comes down to why was she asking, and did she have authority or not? Unless the woman's job was to police the parking lot and ask those questions, then she was just being nosy. I'm sure she doesn't work at the school. I think she was a parent. Am I the antagonist for cleaning up pee with my boyfriend's shirt and throwing it at him? I have been with my boyfriend for almost 5 years now, and we have semi-lived together for 3. Everything is seemingly perfect. Except for one thing that annoys me to no end every day. My boyfriend pees on the toilet seat and never wipes it. We only have one bathroom in our apartment, so when I really have to go, I always end up cleaning his pee off the toilet seat every day. 2 days ago, we were about to leave and get groceries, but I decided to quickly use the restroom before we left. There was so much pee on the seat. I walked out of the bathroom and asked my boyfriend to please wipe it off. He said no, that I'm perfectly capable of wiping it off myself. I told him no, I'm not his mother. It's not my job to clean up his accidents. He said that since I leave hair around the apartment, he can leave his pee, and if I don't like it, I can use the bathroom outside or at a public bathroom. I tell him that I can't help whenever strands of hair fall out, and I apologize for my hair being everywhere. I have a lot of hair on my head, but at this moment, I really have to pee. So I again ask him to please clean the pee off of the toilet seat. He says yes, goes into the bathroom, grabs one of my dirty shirts, and goes to clean the pee. I yank it from his hand, and I'm pretty angry at this point. I tell him that it is disrespectful to expect his own girlfriend to clean up his piss, and that he should act like an adult and clean up his own messes. I'm tired of having to wipe down the seat every day, and I've tried talking to him nicely about it, and he just keeps doing it. I start raising my voice saying that it is disgusting for him to grab my own clothes, that I bought to use them in some sort of passive aggressive way to clean his own pee. He says that pee is natural and clean, and he doesn't see the problem. With that, I grab one of his shirts off the ground, clean the pee, and throw it at him. He starts yelling, calling me a psycho bitch, and slams the door. This apartment is in his name, so I guess he can treat it however he likes. But we are in the process of moving into a house and I don't want this behavior to continue. I want to have kids with him, but can't have him be an additional kid I'm raising. Am I the antagonist? Edit. Thank you everyone for all of the advice. While it hates to ruin an otherwise great relationship over this, tomorrow I'm going to sit him down and have an actual conversation about how this makes me feel. Sadly, my boyfriend was raised in a family of millionaires and has never had to do anything around the house as the maids all did it for him. He has been adjusting very well with cleaning and stuff. Except for the pee. If he doesn't take my conversation seriously, then it's obvious he doesn't take our relationship seriously. Now for the top comments. Looking at the comments, it's mostly women saying he's disgusting, disrespectful, and you should ditch him before it's too late. Well, I'm here to give a man's perspective on this. He's disgusting, disrespectful, and you should ditch him before it's too late. You had me going in the first half, not gonna lie. Yikes. Peeing aside for a second, he swore at you in anger for doing the thing he was about to do to you. That's not okay. Throwing the shirt at him is immaterial. He claims his pee is natural and clean, so clearly not a problem. Please reconsider this relationship. It's super gross behavior, regardless of anyone's personal thoughts on pee and his rights to leave it wherever he wants. If it upsets you, that should be enough reason to at least try not to do it. I ask my partner to try to remember to clean their hair from the drain, and I try not to leave plates in my office because they don't like it. Living together is all compromises and forming more tolerable habits that don't frustrate the other person to tears. As others have said, if he can't even admit there's a problem, he's not going to get better in your own house, and you're not going to get the help you need when it comes to kids. NTA. Op wants to have kids with this man. A grown ass man who has intentionally forced you to clean up his piss every damn day for 3 years. A man that will disrespect your property with no remorse. A man that, rather than take responsibility for his own actions, will scream obscenities at you. No, girl, you do not want to have kids with this man, not the a-hole. Am I the antagonist for changing my mind about adopting a child with my partner? I, male 25, am in a 6 years relationship with my partner, male 30. Off the get-go, I have always wanted kids, maybe 2 or 3, and so has my partner. This is something we discussed about and planned to do once we were financially stable. Last year my boyfriend brought up the talks of surrogacy, and it seemed like a brilliant idea, and he told me he had a surrogate in mind, and I agreed to meet her and liked her, so we began the process. The baby was born prematurely 2 weeks ago, and I've never been more in love with this beautiful little human. The problem is that since my husband's sperm was used, his name was supposed to be only on the birth certificate, then I will be added after the adoption is complete. But this weekend my BF tell me that he put his and the surrogate's mother on the birth certificate, and he would want a polyamorous relationship with both of us. I never even knew he was bisexual. I refused and told him I wouldn't be involved, and neither will I go through with the adopting, and I've been staying at a hotel. He has been calling me and texting that I'm being childish and this baby was our dream, and now he can't seem to do anything right by our child. But I'm so conflicted. Now for the top comments. Did you go the legal surrogacy route and have lawyers etc draft up a surrogacy agreement? It doesn't sound like you did, which means you are in for a world of trouble and are at the mercy of your partner and his surrogate. The entire thing sounds terribly conceived and ripe for a lawsuit. How did she get pregnant with the child? Are you sure they didn't sleep together and she got pregnant and now he's trying to play this off and create a situation where he gets to keep you and his mistress and their affair child? This whole situation sounds fishy to me. I feel like he's completely lied to you and set you up. Edit. No surrogate that I have ever heard of would agree to this scenario. Typically surrogates are fully vetted by an agency and lawyers are involved, and the whole thing is fully mapped out. Once the child is born, the child is handed over. The surrogate's role is essentially complete, and they walk away. They do not get put onto the birth certificate. If you didn't do this through the proper channels, you are totally screwed. No, I just took his word for it, since he is a lawyer. According to what I was told, he was to deposit his sperm at a sperm bank and then the hospital took care of the rest. NTA, he changed the goalposts after the fact and has effectively tried to force this change on you after 6 years. That's just rotten, and I think possibly planned. It kind of sounds like the boyfriend was playing a long con, considering he conveniently had a surrogate in mind. I don't know why he would think Op would just be okay with it, but definitely not the a-hole.